Okay, here we have our replica of our Civil War soldiers' quarters. Quarters like this would have been set up by privates and NCOs of the Army during the winter. The armies didn't encamp during the winter, or they didn't campaign during the winter. They pretty much went into winter camp, and they would have to build quarters like this in order to stay warm. Obviously, their regular tents that they carried on their backs wouldn't be sufficient, and so they would build these. Although I'm the only one in here, this was actually made for 4 men. You can see the slits cut in the logs just above that bunk, where another bunk will go. As soon as I'm done here, we'll install those so that living historians and reenactors can use it during the summer, and it'll fit 4 of them in here. Be a little bit more authentic as far as occupancy goes. Hopefully they'll all be good friends so they don't get on each other's nerves. Let's see. Over here I have my kitchen. Basically this wooden box contains all of my rations in there. I don't want to tip the candle over. I've been keeping the candle on there because it's a high point in the room and sheds a little bit more light. I've been eating regular Army rations. Beef, pork, bacon, beans, rice, hominy, things of that sort. Really a pretty basic diet. I've also been able to acquire other types of foods that a soldier would have been able to acquire, like eggs. I have some eggs down here. Soldiers would have been able to get them from local farms. They would have been able to go and either pay for them or trade for them, that type of thing. I've gotten apples and carrots. People have been really nice and dropped things off, unexpected little bounties here and there. Yesterday I got some fresh carrots and apples and some peanuts. Actually, I got a basket of peanuts too, which is always a nice little treat, and they were widely available down south during the war. Things like Borden's, I'm able to use this in my coffee because actually Borden's did make canned milk during the Civil War, so I'm fortunate that I can enjoy that still even today. As you can see, my bunk is right down there. That's where I've been sleeping, and basically it's just 2-inch plank boards and straw kind of laid out on top of them, and then this mattress tick. I had purchased about 2.5 yards of that and sewn up a mattress and then stuffed that with hay. So basically I'm sleeping on a double amount of hay, and then I have the wool Army blankets to cover up with, and so that's worked out pretty well. One of the nights that I was out here got pretty fierce as far as the wind goes. I think it was Wednesday night when we had our second storm. The front door actually got ripped off the hinges by the wind, and so I was kind of without a door until the next day because there was too much wind to repair it myself. Luckily, I had this gum blanket above the door. I mounted it above the door to kind of cut down on the wind, so I was able to just unroll that, and I nailed that to the door frame for the night, and that was able to keep the wind out and keep me fairly warm. It was still kind of a drafty, chilly night, but it did the trick until morning, and that worked out well. The cabin itself took about 3 weeks to build, and it was definitely a new experience for me. I had never built anything like this before, and I had the assistance of my intern Andy and Dave, our security chief at the museum, and also my sons Samuel and Ethan, who were seniors down at Gettysburg. They're big guys and did a lot of the heavy lifting, put the logs in place, so I was very glad of that. I have my equipment over here hanging up. I have my sack coat, which is kind of an everyday coat that most of the marching would have been done in the warmer months anyways. And then I have my frock coat, which is kind of a knee length, just above the knee, more formal type coat. And that would have been worn for dress parades, that type of thing. And then over here I have my great coat, which is sort of the overcoat of the Civil War. not sort of, that's exactly what it was. And it even has a cape with it, and that helps with the warmth as well. Here I have my canteen, my cartridge box, my bayonet scabbard with belt and cap box, and my haversack, which I believe I have some of my marching rations in here. Let's see. Yep. Hardtack. Plenty of hardtack on hand at all times. I baked up about 3 or 4 dozen of these before I came out here, and they are definitely living up to their name as being hard, but they're actually quite tasty. And although soldiers complained about them quite a lot, they actually were glad to have them quite often, especially when rations ran low, that type of thing. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
There's light coming through in the roof. I know we've had snow lately, but do you have trouble with the snow melting and dripping in with water coming?
That's a good question. It looks like it would leak because you can see the sun shining through. And for each seam, the boards are just set up next to each other. At each seam there's another board outside that's been nailed down on top of them. So the sun is kind of coming in at an angle. It looks like there would be no protection, but actually for all the snow we've had, it's all melted off the roof, and I haven't had any leaks in here at all. It's actually been quite good. And you can also see there's where the knots in the pine are, they glow kind of red. And that's because of the sap in the knots. The sun shining through it, it causes it to glow red. And you can see several of those, especially with the door closed. You can really see them, and it's kind of like my own stained glass. But I'll tell you, the first night I stayed in here, I woke up the next morning and I saw that, and I thought the roof was on fire because I had never seen anything like that before. So I jumped out of bed real quick, but quickly realized what it was. Okay, well, thanks so much for stopping by, and
Thanks.
we'll see you again